inside of lockdown. Right, Coach Helen for YouFit Studio. Right, I'm talking about prep work when it comes to food. As a request of a client of mine who had mixed feelings and emotions and thought processes about food prepping and getting ready for what she called getting on track with food, and so requested some pros and cons because she wasn't quite sure or settled on what was the best approach, or why she should do it, or what might go wrong because she'd never done it before. So let's just start with some basics. I covered this a little bit in a previous live, however, it's coming back into play. So mainly because some people are going back to work or getting kids ready back to school. So time is of the essence. There's an essence of time now going on, as in it's running out. And so a lot of people want to do a lot of stuff in a short amount of time, like sorting food out. So when I say food prep, I mean individually you might get a different perception of what that means. Some people will perceive it as a sea of Tupperware with matching lids. The lucky people, if you can keep that together, with, I don't know, 10 days food done, a regimented thing inside the boxes. It doesn't necessarily mean that, though. That is one way of looking at it. What it really means, and what I think it means in terms of working with clients, is it just means what works for them. So whatever works for them in terms of preparing their food, right? So rather than saying food prep, it's to say it's preparing your food for the week, and that might be a rough idea, a schedule, having a food shop, like an ongoing food list, or an actual food plan. It doesn't necessarily mean the act of actually cooking itself, okay? So it can mean a lot of things. It doesn't always mean all of it. And so you don't always have to think, oh, right, food prep means I've got to be 36 boxes of the same thing for the next month, right? I mean, the matching lid situation is a problem on its own. Okay. I'm going to go through the benefits and the challenges, and then just do a recap as standard, and everybody can make their own decision about where we think they work for them or not. So the benefits, it does, for a percentage of clients, it removes an unknown. And by that, they may be accustomed to not relaxed is the wrong term, maybe quite a unscheduled, lack of routine way, I suppose is the way of describing it, approach to food or food through the week. And by that I mean actually they're just kind of winging it, I guess is the best description. And by winging it I mean they either end up buying food at work or on the way to work, or essentially kind of grab and go approach to stuff. And I'm going to talk like people are going back to work, because this is where it's coming from, really, kind of people starting to move around. And so when somebody is doing or looking at scheduling their food, or at least visualising what it's going to look like if it's not cooking, as I said, then it removes an unknown factor of being sidetracked, or, I don't know, accidentally walking into a mountain of flapjacks or something, right? Essentially. And by that it means by removing an unknown, it also removes some fears for clients that they will be taken off track with food. And adversity, or how we would say it, keeps some clients, gives them the sense of certainty, keeps them on track. It can really see ahead. Now, when I see ahead, this is another benefit. So it also allows them to navigate any foreseen risks. So, for example, let's use a work buffet. If somebody's prepared their food in advance, they are less likely, not immune, shall I just say, no one's immune from the work buffet or the fuddle. Love that terminology, fuddle, or whatever it is. However, they're less likely to participate when they have food ready and they are, because if you put the effort in, there it is, or if they've already worked out what they're going to have for the day. They're less likely to not see the risk ahead, certainly if they practice it. So if you are a client who tends to wander into the mountain of flapjacks, bump, with your mouth open, potentially, then it removes the risk for you, and also gives you a sense of certainty, removes the unknown factors, right? Allows you to see that ahead. What that also means is, another benefit, you can make changes ahead of time. So say a client is looking ahead of the whole week, they may have already scheduled that they're going to go, let's just use 1 minute. We're going to eat out to help out. That terminology that Sam loves. Wish I were fake moustache again. Evil moustache of eat out or help out. If someone is planning, or a client is planning to eat out on a Wednesday night, let's say, they can actually have a look and write out the whole week, write out they're going out on Wednesday night, and then schedule their food around it, either by discussing it with the coach or writing out a list or planning. Like we said, it's not all preparation. It can be actually just getting the stuff into the food shop and seeing ahead and going, right, I'm planning to have dessert. Let's just say that I'm having dessert on Wednesday night, so Thursday I'm going to plan and prepare how I'm going to do my food the next day and what I'm going to have, and that allows me then to feel more secure that I can make a great decision on the Wednesday night, and therefore I'm going to keep, again, on track as opposed to overeating. So huge benefits in terms of that. What else? Also, okay, I did cover it. When was it now? I was the day before yesterday. Oh, what should I eat? About the spectrum, okay? So if someone's planning ahead or is using food prep, they can actually then look at the spectrum. Now, I talked the other day about the spectrum of food. And when a client asks, what should I eat? It also ties into food planning, because if someone can put a plan in place, they can start to, like I suggested on that live, start to look at where you can make small improvements on the spectrum and then change your plan ahead. So you can see it all in front of you and go, right, okay, if I'm wanting to introduce more, I'm going to eat the rainbow, like Helen suggested. I'm going to eat the rainbow, like that unicorn that I posted in the group, eat the rainbow, right? If I'm going to eat the rainbow and I'm preparing my food ahead of time and I'm scheduling what I'm going to shop for and I can see how I'm going to plan it out, where can I change that on the spectrum to ensure that I'm doing exactly what I'm planning to do, which is to eat the rainbow? So I can plan my food in advance and see where I can make improvements all week through to allow me to do that, right? So far, benefits. Right, I'm gonna make sure this client gets tagged on this live, right? Benefits. Remove the unknown. So remove some fear elements. It allows you to navigate the grab and go behaviour because you've got the food there and you're not going to be caught off guard. Keeps you on track, right? Can see ahead where the risks might be, so it allows you to move the risks as well as see what's ahead. You can plan with a coach, like my clients send me their food plan for the week quite a lot. Sunday, Monday, Sunday, Monday, good days to do that. I don't know, I'm assuming they do the food shop on a Friday. However, a lot of clients like to send their food plan to me. I can then have a look at it with them, checking through the week to make sure they're on course. It also allows them to make changes ahead of time, right? So if something changes, they can look at the plan, look at the schedule, chat to me, we'll make changes. Happens a lot with Eat Out to Help Out at the minute. Lots of changes going on. However, being able to prepare for that is one of the key skills, right? And it is a skill, by the way. I would say this: if you are not working with this, you will know that and you haven't been working for a while. You know that it is a skill to start to prepare ahead to eating out. If I've got new clients at the minute or relatively new, it's one of the biggest challenges if they joined us during lockdown because they've not ate out for a while. So and they've never had to do it when they've been with us. So, you know, it's helping to plan ahead with your food allows you to do this stuff. You can help out. Planning allows you to do it happily and still stay on course, and by that means still lose weight. What else? Spectrum, okay? Allows you to change on the spectrum where potential changes might be, like I talked about the other day, and improve your existing nutrition. I used the example of Eat the Rainbow. However, if you check out my live the other day, I talked about how you can take every element of what you're eating right now and start to make small improvements, and seeing ahead and seeing, rather than being caught on the hop again or grab and go, seeing exactly what and where you're going to eat allows you to work with your coach to see where you might make improvements. Boom. Challenges. Hey, my clients gonna love these. Now, these are a range of ones that I've potentially experienced myself and also experienced with clients where things have not gone according to plan. Even with the benefits that I've already gone through, sometimes, as we know, life happens to get in the way and perhaps it doesn't end up the way we want it to be. sometimes, how can I put it? If someone's very limited, is very limited in their cooking ability, shall we say, their menu for preparing their own food will be also quite limited, and there may not be quite enough space to, I want to say experiment, it's true, to change their palate, we'll say, and go outside their comfort zone. They might start with doing food preparation or planning ahead with sticking to some very old faithfuls that they know kind of help them towards their goal. However, they may milk that one a fair bit. Now, for me, it was sweet potato. I now cannot, even the thought, I'm like this, oh, I did sweet potato to death. I did. I mean, really, I've tried now every variation of trying to give it some flavour or some spice, and I can really feel my stomach turning as I'm talking about sweet potato. This is very uncomfortable. This isn't a replay of the meat sweats, by the way. This is just me going, oh, sweet potato. No. For me, even the sight of sweet potato makes me feel a little bit vommy. And that was due to several months, I think, of sweet potato wedges at lunch. It's funny that, because I can eat Marmite until I think I'll eat Marmite until I pop off. Marmite will never get bored of and never have a problem with. Sweet potato, killed that one over. Hey jokes, I killed it. And that is that's a personal experience and also common to other clients. If you get very restrictive in your menu of choice, and I have another client, I'm thinking of, bless her, oh, those chicken sausages, we'll say it's a particular brand. But if you're northerner, you say Bayek. I don't think she can do it anymore. I think she's reached the same situation as me with sweet potato. If you kill something and become too comfortable on it, you'll do what she did and I did eventually, which is, although you've prepared your food, you kind of look at it like it's just been scraped off the pavement. You're really not that interested in eating it. And what that results in, as it did for me and it has done for a couple of other clients as well, is that you end up eating something else anyway. Because you kind of you get ready for lunch, you open it. If it's me, I don't even remember the moment. You open it, sweet potato. Yeah, it's now a struggle to actually chew a sweet potato and swallow without kind of wanting the urge to spit it on the floor like I'm a Viking. And that was exactly what this other client experienced with the chicken sausage situation. And chicken sausage, tin tomatoes and spinach. I can literally see that picture in my head that she sent me every day for, bless her, weeks and months on end, until eventually I saw nothing because she'd gone so far off track. She'd decided enough was enough, and that's the outcome. As I said, you'll end up eating off track. So the thing is that it's going back to some degree to resolve this, by the way, because I will say resolutions, just in case somebody comes into this situation. Yeah, I mean, depending on your confidence levels with food and nutrition, and the to some sense, the easy resolution was like, well, just find some recipes. No, it's not always the case. You can add flavour, or you can add taste. However, there's always a limit of what you can do. It falls back on the old spectrum. So if you're using a protein source at the minute, see where you can shift the protein source to add a different texture. If you're using a carbohydrate at the minute, shift the carbohydrate in a different position on the spectrum, add different vegetables. And yes, by all means, add in the spices and herbs and everything else. Ultimately, there's if it really is something like me that you will never see me with a sweet potato, let's just say that. We want to kind of avoid that, so it's always best to know ahead of time that this is a pitfall. Like I'm letting you know now, and don't fall into the trap of using the same thing day in day out, because even sweet potato fries, even that, it's everything. Don't ever buy me sweet potatoes, I'll throw them back at you. And a part of that as well, now this is a sidebar, however has the same outcome. It's also really common to maybe get a little bit happy on the prep days, shall we say. And this also, I think, is a unique and personal preference. Now, I can have two clients prepping the same meal, let's just say, Client, oh, it's still client A. George likes to prep, I don't know, 7 days in advance, right? Oh, maybe it's a bit much. Let's say 5. So on Sundays, George likes to go prep food Monday to Friday, down our care. George and John, I don't know. John decides to do 2 days, 3 days. He's happy with that. Now, George might get to Thursday and regret his decision, although he keeps making the same decision to prep for the whole week, because his perception is he's limited on time. That means, and by this I mean, selective about how you plan your food, people, if you're going to prep for a whole week. Now, there's nothing less appetizing than someone who preps, I don't know, a tuna steak on Sunday and by Friday, it's not a good idea. For example, it doesn't stave well, shall we say? I don't know what my mum would call it. Doesn't keep well. So selective with what you choose, people, because John boy here's cool because he did 2 days and he creates time in a week. So this is another thing about looking ahead with food or planning food ahead. I found that there are distinctly 2 camps of clients. The Rambo, I will do 10 days, and if it even looks like it's going to crawl out, I will still eat it, even though it makes me feel a bit ill, and I might end up doing what previous client did and go and buy something else. And the second client who will only ever do 2 to 3 days max, because they just won't eat anything less fresh. So understand which one you are before you start this process, if you're going to go into it, which I'm going to discuss with my client who asked me to do this, as a essential step, I would say, because both have a consistency issue. Because if George continues to completely rack up 7 days sorry, I'm talking about sweet potato, I feel quite nauseous. Jesus, how about it? This is the outcome. See, this is what happens when I talk about something live and it happens live. Don't kill something in a prep, please. Never go to Nando's and have sweet potato wedges. Oh. It's all gone. Oh dear me. Sidetracked by my own nausea. Yeah, don't prep for a full week if you know that part of the way you approach food at the minute is if it is 1 day before the sale by date is going in the bin. That will signify you're a person that won't push the freshness date. Likewise, if you know that 2 to 3 days works for you and you can create time, then yes, the consistency for both clients, it's just a massive split down the middle. It's about 50-50, right? It really is. Know that, again, it just falls on how consistent you've been, sticking to the plan as well, right? This is the thing. Food prep only is as effective as if you stick to it. So if you know you're unlikely to, then choose a system that allows you to stick to it the most. You may, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. What's going on, YouFit Studio? Who knows? You may feel restricted, okay? You may feel restricted by doing this, and this is often a challenge that someone comes across as well. You may feel restricted and therefore also not stick to it. Know that also it might not be for you to plan food too much. There's a rare percentage of clients of this that it holds to. It is that they do exist though, and you may be in that part of people. Well, actually, they get a feeling, and it's a feeling sets in motion. They feel restricted, and they're not happy in the process of having to think about planning their food. They don't like as much control, and they like to freestyle, right, to some degree. There's a certain personality type that likes that. They're just as successful. They perhaps just don't like to think that far ahead, so they like to think in the moment. Also, if you know you're one of these people, you know that's potentially one of your challenges, and it might be you want to have a looser idea. So when I say food prep good or bad, I'm saying actually you can do it. It's just one of the options I said at the beginning. It might just be a rough idea rather than either written or actually planned or actually cooked, right, as the end of control. And that's partly the final point I'm going to make is that the perception of food prep is it's 100% or fudge all, and that's not the case. What it has to do is fit in, like everything that we talk about, really. It has to be able to fit in with your existing lifestyle. Now, if you are somebody who, I don't know, because we have them, works in NHS, works 10 to 15-hour shifts, is it like, and has one day off a week, right, at the minute, is it likely that that client can actually do all their food prep for the whole 7 days on the one day they have off? No, it's not. So what can that client do? That client can have a look at what's in the canteen at work, plan out in their head what they can take on what days, talk it over with me, and then make a plan as such in a rough verbal way, and also usually ropes in a relative, right, to help them do it, right, if they are going to do any few days. So that's a resolution. If somebody is, I don't know, furloughed at the moment still, has a ton of time and enjoys cooking, is that person going to use the time probably cooking fresh every day, and even use like a HelloFresh or a Gusto or something like that allows them to do that? Yes, they are. And then in that sense, that client could have a full cooking schedule with all the ingredients as two extremes of the scale. So in each example, the idea of being prepared ahead of time for food is exactly what it is. It just tailors to someone's lifestyle, their family, their social life, their work life, train life even to some degree. It has to be something that moulds to existing life, and therefore again the outcome is that you're more consistent and you see the values and benefits of doing it, and you experience that the more regular it is. So other than the key factor of I talked about earlier of knowing how many days you are as a person if you're going to plan ahead or actually cook ahead, is also to understand where you can actually blend this into your existing lifestyle, because the perception is you should be, again, the rows of Tupperware in the next 10 days planned. I need to recap now, but I'm still thinking about sweet potato. It's still making me feel terrible. Oh, this is the life lesson. Whew. Heather, please don't ever make anything with sweet potato in it for me, ever. Please. Even if it exists with chocolate, it's not acceptable to put sweet potato in anything. Oh yeah. I should put on the 30 things you should know about Helen. Cannot eat sweet potato anymore. Ate about 700 kilos of it in the space of several months. Can no longer tolerate it. So I talked about right at the beginning, recap time, skipping the obvious. It doesn't have to mean, like I just said, the whole shebang. It can just mean that, thank you, Heather, you noted that you want to sweet potato, please. It can be an idea, it can be a rough general conversation about it, all the way up to the cooking with the food prep, right? Yeah, I'm thinking happy Marmite thoughts, my friends, to go over this. So over the benefits first. Removes the unknown, means that you won't get hungry and do a grab and go because you know what to expect. Stay on track and see ahead and where the risks might be, and work around it. Plan with a coach and create ideas of constant learning when you can change things. And that also kind of sticks true with, I've used it at the minute. I've got so much food prep going on and getting ready for the eat out to help out. And doing something like this allows you to maneuver through that, still have the experience, still get out there and have a great time with your friends, family, loved ones, whatever, and still be able to basically get to your goals, right? So it's still possible. It just means looking ahead a little bit and removing the risks. Also allows you, like I said, tying in with one I talked about earlier this week, get in on the spectrum, understand where you can change your food ahead of time, make it a little bit better. And then as you get more skilled, as I said, it's a skill, it is a skill with planning ahead, you will there also be able to gradually, again, the more you change on the spectrum, the more you're going to learn more about food and the more you can learn how it works specifically for you. Cool. Challenges. Don't prep too much of the same thing. It will kill it forever. To the point of which you'll be able to swallow and chew the same thing if you do it every day. And the outcome will be you will end up going to something else because the thought of it, and especially imagine if you've prepped like I did for 7 days ahead of the same thing. you got a week of trying to find something else rather than trying to hack it down. Same thing, just if you cook too far ahead, same outcome. It's not appealing after 7 days if it's walking itself to the bin. So always think ahead. Are you person A who likes to prep for a million days ahead, or person B who'd rather just do it every couple of days and make the time, right? Again, for both those people, about consistency to learn the skills and understand the benefits. And I did say there are some people who just may feel restricted and controlled, and it might not be as much requirement for them to really get into it. However, some at least insight and understanding of where they're going to start eating helps. And the final point, like other than the knowing which camp you're in, is also always know how it blends to your lifestyle, because that's why it's the degrees between 0 and 100, like everything. There's a spectrum in prep food as there is in actual food. Not everybody can spend 4, 5 hours, 6 a week prepping all the way through. Know where you're at, understand where your time limitations are, and then choose something that fits with that and still, again, keeps you consistent overall. Boom! Food prep done for my client. And now I'm just going to like send and say, which one are you going to do? How are you feeling about it? Where are you going to go with it? Tomorrow, living for the weekend. I did it on Saturday. Maybe I should have done it today. I'm doing it tomorrow though, to catch those stragglers. So have a fantastic night tonight. I will catch you tomorrow at, she says, thinking again, like I've not done it at the same time for a billion weeks, 11 for living for the weekend. And I'll catch you then.